Kumechacha.
Jana tunawaambia kutachacha.
Na kumechacha leo.
Leo ni leo. Kumechacha.
Tujipange.
Hapana. No, give us the keyboard.
Aya, sawa.
You can't sing without a keyboard.
Sawa. Do, re, mi.
Yeah, that second.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Kumechacha. Sindio?
No. Try again. A little higher.
Do.
Yeah,
That one?
Yeah, that
Do,
one.
re, mi.
Okay.
Kumechacha. Tujipange. Moto. Tia maji.
Na hatuna maji. No water.
Kumechacha, everybody, welcome.
Welcome to Kumechacha at Tujipange Studios, Philadelphia.
Yes.
Oh, Saturday has come again,
yes.
But it is Friday night. We are pre-recording because,
Mm-hmm.
as we said, we have to go to a funeral memorial service.
Mm-hmm.
But we still want to have breakfast with you today. Yes.
Yeah, thank you for joining us on Kumechacha. My name is Grace, and this is
Grace.
Yes, and we're here to bring you the best of the diaspora, share some great community tips, and be with you on this Saturday morning.
Yeah, and as we said last week, we want to check in with you here in the US. It's called check-in.
Mm-hmm.
We want to know how your weekend went. As usual, the week sometimes goes well for some people. And for others, it may not go very well, but every new day is a new creation. Every new day is a new promise. So we're calling out to you not to stay by yourself, don't isolate yourself, but to reach out. Reach out to a friend, reach out to a family, reach out to whoever you trust. Yes. So, Grace, how did you spend your weekend?
Well, I'll say that my self-care tactic this week was meditation, a lot of napping. I took a lot of naps this week. And also, I did prayer. So that was my meditation plan for this week. I had a great week, but it had a lot of elements going on, so I needed some time to center and to breathe. What about you, Grace?
Oh, I played a lot of spiritual music. I like gospel music.
That's good.
Some secular, but I really love gospel music. And I also took a vacation day off just to spend time with me. I went to Rittenhouse Square. I went to Barnes & Noble, and went through a lot of books. I was actually looking for a new book that's in town called Unhinged.
Like crazy.
By Omarosa.
Oh,
Manigault, Newman. But we'll talk about it next time.
That is a topic for another day.
Yeah, I'm reading it. So if you give me an opportunity, I'll talk about it soon.
Tune in for one of these episodes on Kumechacha. We'll be talking about Omarosa's book. I don't know if you are ready.
We're getting ready. It did remind me, though, like, it made me a little uncomfortable in terms of, who is taping my conversation in the office? Like, how can colleagues just tape each other? It made me wonder, like, has someone been taping whatever I'm saying in the office? But let's leave that for another day.
Yeah, let's leave that for another day.
Yeah, so we had one major news item of the week, our news speak of the week. Tell us what's happening with Senghor.
Well, we'll start with Senghor. I'll read you an article so that you can be aware. This is from the Mission Local website, and it talks about the recent arrest of Marco Senghor, the Senegal-born owner of the dance club and restaurant Bissap Baobab, which could be the first case stemming from federal denaturalization efforts, which is the act of stripping naturalized Americans of their citizenship. They're saying that this Mr. Senghor was arrested in the morning of Wednesday, August 1st, when he was walking down the street around 1 a.m. in the morning, and he was released the next day on a $50,000 bond. He was charged with procurement of citizenship contrary to law and procurement of citizenship of a person not entitled to citizenship. Basically, this man was criminally charged with illegally obtaining his citizenship. This is a man who came to the U.S. in 1989 and obtained his citizenship in 2009. They say that this man has been a pillar of the community, of the African diaspora community for decades, and is actually touted as one of the great success stories of American immigrants and success.
Is this the man who used to make a loco? Like
it's a money to make a local.
Ripe plantains.
We just were looking at the menu salivating, you know. So
we used to make the greatest spinach stew, you know, cooked and fried with onions. Just no njugu stew karanga. When it's mashed, you know.
I don't know if you've had Senegalese food. It's yummy. It's very, very yummy.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I think even, you know, these restaurants can impact a lot of people down the line, not just food-wise, but other people who work there.
Employees.
Yeah.
So, Grace, are you telling me, or you're still reading the news, are you telling me that you can actually be given an American citizenship and that it can be taken away from you?
In fact, that's true. And this is beginning, they're talking about how with the push with the new presidential regimen to look at the ways that people have received citizenship in various ways in the United States. They have found that the USCIS, which is the United States Citizenship and Immigration, have been reviewing cases which they think fall under that umbrella.
And I do understand that is this California?
Yeah.
They have reviewed, in California alone, they have recalled that they are reviewing 2,500 cases.
That's in Los Angeles alone.
Oh, that's in Los Angeles. Yeah, in Los Angeles alone.
Yeah. And
so if you are in Los Angeles and you got your citizenship, they say through fraud, or through, is that like
if they suspect, if they suspect that it was obtained illegally,
then very soon you're gonna get, if not a phone call, you're gonna get ice on your door.
Yeah, so we don't know. You know, we are only here to arm you with information. They're saying out of the teams that are preparing these cases, there are a couple that they say in Los Angeles about 100 have been forwarded to the Department of Justice. So that's the next step that happens. That maybe that's when people go get picked up for further questioning or for detention. So this is really a big situation that's affecting a lot of diasporans in the community.
And remember, as we said last week, that when your neighbor's house is burning,
yours is
coming soon, your house will be on fire.
Soon.
So how do you support those friends and well-wishers? How do you support Mr. Senghor?
Well, for Mr. Senghor, there's been a lot of community support in his area around it, and there's actually a GoFundMe that has been put up for that. It's called the Mako Senghor Legal Defense Fund. Their fund is $50,000, and as of a few hours when we were looking at it, they had almost they passed over 18,000 of the goal. So if you would like to support, or would like to get more information about it, please go visit the GoFundMe. You can also find the information available online.
So Grace, $50,000, is that like 50 million Kenyan shillings?
If you add 2 zeros, that's 5 million. Just 5 million Kenyan shillings.
5 million Kenyan shillings, So even Kenyans can contribute to GoFundMe, or Senegalese or African Diaspora, if you want to support Mr. Senghor as he goes through his legal process. And if you know that you got... There's some other things they were saying about being denaturalized. Are there other reasons?
Well, aside from the denaturalization, they're talking about if you obtain the document in a fraudulent manner, if you represented yourself differently from who you really are. It's really a matter of identity. They can go back and review the cases and bring the case back to you, and they can have a strong case.
Yeah, and they say that if you have been here as an undocumented person, I don't really use the word illegal, but as an undocumented person, and you got married to an American citizenship, and your time here had expired, then you're going to be denaturalized.
Oh, is that so?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, but to get a lot of this information, get updated information from all our Diaspora news. We have KSN, we have Diaspora Messenger, we have kenyamoja.com, we have, which other one do we have?
There's a lot. There's tujipange.com, www.tujipange.com.
And Jambo.
Yes. So get yourself, don't just rely on one information source. Go in there, find the information from the government website. Look at the articles and the news that's coming about of the what's happening around the courts on the issues of not just the naturalization, but also DACA. So we'll get into conversation about that.
And remember that if you cannot afford your own lawyer, look in your city. We have pro bono lawyers who are dedicated, committed to just fighting for justice, and they won't charge you $1. Yes. Yeah,
and then sometimes some resources may vary by area. So I know in Philadelphia we have the National Nationality Services Center. We also have other immigrant rights groups that exist in the area. So also find out what types of rights groups exist in your area. If you need support, they can be the first line of defense that you want to reach out to. So, just a bit of information down your radar so you know what's happening in the city. But before we even start with the stories that we have for our audience today, we didn't talk about what we're having for breakfast.
Oh, yes. Yeah. Breakfast in the diaspora can be interesting. If you like, you can have your leftover dinner. Don't be embarrassed. Bring that rice and chicken stew. Bring your beef stew. Bring your shrimps. Whatever you have, you don't have to cook something fresh. Go with what you have. Go with what you can afford. So today we just have mandazi.
Yes.
That's our favorite. Grace and I really love mandazi because it's a complete protein. We have milk, we have eggs, we have sugar, and we deep fry it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what do we have? We have groundnuts. I know we said we had groundnuts last week, but this is a different type of groundnut.
Which one has got the nguo? Ni kama nguo ya kuku.
Oh, a chicken's clothes.
It's like chicken's clothes, yes.
So, yeah. I remember this when you are waiting on the market street, sometimes they boil it for you.
Yeah. I don't know why people used to throw groundnuts in the air. They catch it in their mouth like a netball. But I'll just have mine.
See, I was trying and it fell.
You tried to do that?
I tried to play with a peanut and it fell.
Okay.
My ancestors, I sent it to my ancestors. I hope they don't mind.
Yeah, so you can have your traditional African meals, sweet potatoes, yams. You can have
always a bit of ketepati.
Yeah, but you can also have sausages and eggs. There's no problem with that. You can have bacon. Go with what you feel like having. Just make sure you have breakfast because it's the most important.
It's most important
meal of the day.
Yeah. Yes. So let's get into what we were talking so excitedly about at our what was it called? The nice hallway in Philadelphia where the priest told us about the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah. So yes. Grace and I were looking for a place to do our prompt this afternoon. And we found this beautiful street between, I think it was between Spruce and Lombard. Yeah, 13 Spruce and Lombard. And then suddenly this man, stranger, came and asked us, like, who are you, where you're from? Would you like to come into my house so that I show you around tour of his house?
That was stranger danger.
Oh, that was Mr. Danger Man.
He even told us, I'm a priest, don't worry.
He said, I'm a priest from the Episcopal Church. I just want to give you a tour around my house. We were like, what? You meet two women on the streets and you want to take them into your house? And he was carrying raw chicken.
He said he was going to cook it at work for his friends.
Yeah, for his friends. So we didn't know whether we were going to be part of the chicken. Whether he was going to... You remember how a followed a hyena thinking it was a man for a husband, and he stewed her in a pot and ate her. So my mind was just like, this man's going to stew us. But it turned out well. We refused to get into the house.
See, those African stories, those fables being told by our grandmothers, they have a lesson.
Yes. Don't meet a man on the streets. He wants two ladies in his house. So anyway, he introduced himself as Father Rogers, and we were like, are you a Catholic priest, or are you Anglican, or what are you? And he said, oh, did he say anything about being a Catholic?
He said I'm Episcopalian, actually.
Yeah, he said he was an Anglican Episcopalian, something like that. Yeah, so he told us that the place where we were these houses were old. They were built in 1830, like 180 years old. And the interesting thing with these houses is they have 3 rooms. One house, 3 rooms with the whole family, only 3 rooms. So because there are a block of houses and they're each 3 rooms, the community there used to call them the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
But then after a certain while, they felt it was impropriety. It wasn't really polite. It was unholy. So they now just call it the Trinity.
Yeah, and Philadelphia is an old city. They're saying the buildings were there since the 1830s, and this was an area where the rich and the poor lived together. So he showed us a place where there were big mansions, and then right next to it were those Trinity rooms, which I'm assuming were for the people who are living on the poor side of the street. We were talking about the news story for the week, which is around the army. Yes. And the decisions that have been done around that this week and what that can mean for you.
So a lot of things have been affecting the army, affecting diasporians, people in the diaspora, and mostly like immigrants as well. And some of our people from the diaspora are immigrants. Some are students, some are refugees, some are asylees. But because of the new regime, a lot of changes have taken place, and we are affected whether we like it or not. So among the people who've been affected are those people, those immigrants who joined the army to make it a career because they had special skills. And because they had special skills, they could join the army in exchange for the special skills. So they were not citizens, but these are people who came in under the MAVNI program. You can look up MAVNI.
Yes, and the MAVNI means military accessions to a special interest. Like you said, it's a special program that not just accept any immigrant. Like you said, accepts immigrants with special skills.
And what are these special skills?
So if you're either a physician or a nurse, and not just within those occupations, but you have specific language skills and social skills.
If you can speak different languages, if you can translate languages, if you are a brain surgeon. Very, very
so there are very specific things that they look for, and it's not just anybody. It's a specific. Like I was doing some research on it, and they said that there are specific healthcare occupations that they're looking for, and there's certain languages. I even saw that if you know how to speak Kiswahili, if you know how to speak French, but you're from the African countries, if you can speak Hausa, if you can speak Yoruba, these are type of the skills and the talents that they're looking for when you're trying to apply, go through the MAVNI program to go into the army, because once you get into the army through this program, after basic training, you can apply for your citizenship. So this is something that was very attractive to people.
Yeah, and they did say that you didn't have to be a citizen to be in the MAVNI program. You just needed to be here legally. So you could mostly be a student, you could be someone who was an investor, but as long as your visa was not expired, you could apply to join citizenship.
Yes, and I was looking also, and they were saying if you're any type of legal status, like even if you're a asylee, refugee, a temporary protected status, you could apply as long as you were legally there and you were skilled. You could apply into the program.
So, Grace, I wonder why they want all these African languages like Yoruba, Kiswahili. Is it because when maybe in the army someone falls or someone is shot and they want to cry, then they have to cry the mother tongue? Because I don't know. Some people, whatever. I don't know.
Okay,
because some people cry in English like, "Oh my dear, so-and-so has died, my dear." But when I'm in pain, I cry in my mother tongue. Like, that's just me. I don't even cry in Swahili.
What was the name? Stella. The one who's
Stella, the one who messed up on May 17th and spite her birthday.
Who tried to sing in
Kijaluo.
And then you have to sing in his mother tongue, so I don't know, understand
people who speak people who cry in English and French. I don't know. Maybe one day we're gonna invite you here so you tell us what happens. Because when I'm in pain, the first word is "mama yo, mayo, mayo, mayo."
US Army thinks of everything, even how you're going
you're gonna cry when you get that gunshot. But let's get it more seriously, because the reason we are talking about this was that recently, a lot of people from the diaspora, a lot of immigrants were discharged by the army.
People who are getting into the recruitment process, as well as people who have been working under this program for a couple of years. Some of them were discharged without even knowing why they were being discharged, and with some the recruits were being rejected and not being told how.
They're just being called in the office and told we are releasing you. So that means you're out of status and you're going to go back home. But these are people who are building a career in the military, and they had the special skills. So
leaving people out to dry, without an occupation, without answers.
So some of them went into court and sued and wanted to know why they were being discharged. So
continue.
So because of that, the army has reversed the order. And they're going to go to court soon to find out the final result. So that's why we were talking about it. But then now it became interesting, like, what are the special skills that we have in Kenya?
We were saying, first of all, let's look at this US Army thing, because now it's such a
very interesting
there's a lot of people that we see going through the MAVNI process to go into the army. And I've always been curious about, Yani, me, I think I know 1 or 2 people who are in the Kenyan defense forces, the Kenyan armed forces.
I don't know anybody.
These US Army people are joining every day. What is the difference? What's happening there?
So we found that the people who are joining here, there are people who join because of the special skills, and these are the MAVNI group. But then for the ordinary citizenship, if you are a US citizen, then you have the regular requirements that are different from the MAVNI. So one of them is you have to a certain age group.
Yes, so the U.S. military, first of all, you have to have at least a high school diploma. If you're not, there is a GED. For those who are not aware, the GED is a type of test that you can take to substitute the high school diploma, which if you've taken after 4 years. A GED is a test if you haven't been through the process or something happened, you're not able to take your diploma, you take a test called the GED.
But then you can also get us, if you drop from school, because not everybody is tailored for school, not everybody likes school, you can get a letter from the school saying you're a school dropout. Yes.
And that will allow you to go in?
Yes, they might consider you if you have the special skills.
Wow.
And remember the special skills. Give us some of the requirements.
Okay, some of the requirements is you have to be within certain age. It depends on which type of branch you're in, but some they say the minimum age at 17. I've had 40, I've had 42. So you can look on which branch specifically to see where you fall under. There are certain weight and height requirements. We were reading something there that was like, things that you should not be obese. There should be specific height.
If you love food, if you love fat, if you love pork, if you love eating chicken with the skin, you better tone down before you apply, because if you go above 200 pounds or 240,
but maybe I can eat chicken skins in peace. Some of us have fast metabolism. So
but remember, when we come to American freedoms, you will realize that people do eat a whole chicken by themselves. You go to the supermarket, we'll come to that, and there's so much drumstick to just start eating.
So there's specific weight and height requirements that they adhere to. There's also a need for you to be medically fit.
They don't want people with anemia. They don't want you to have hernia. They don't want you to have...
sometimes missing teeth can disqualify you because they're not sure you'll be able to eat properly.
And they need you to eat a lot of protein. They need you to rarua that goat, rarua that pork, so that you're strong enough to fight the enemy.
They also want to be able to assess you from a moral perspective, because we were looking at some of the requirements, and they were mentioning that there are certain things you can get a waiver for, whether it's maybe medical or other conditions, but it's not guaranteed. So you can go in, but don't assume that, they'll understand or whatever.
They will access your medical records. So if they found that you lied and you have something in your background, your criminal background, they'll not let you stay.
So that's the background on the U.S. Military joining it. If you want to join it, if you already have a citizenship or permanent resident status, you are eligible to join. And if you are not in any legal status, unfortunately, you cannot join. But under the MAVNI program, you are able to get this information to apply. If you want more information about joining the military, we are not promoting, we are not telling you to do it, but some of you may be curious about it. We'll ask you that you can go to Google one, but also usa.gov/join military, and you can get all the right information from there. In addition to Googling MAVNI, you'll find that under the Department of Homeland Security on how to study in the information on studying in the United States and other stuff.
And when you get your citizenship and you're under the age of 26, you're supposed to go and enlist.
You are?
Yes. And
are you serious?
Yeah, so just go to government.
Grace, you are scaring me. You are scaring us.
Go to the USIC website.
Yeah,
you need to know that.
Find out the information. Sometimes you don't want to be caught outside.
Yeah, so we found some very interesting comparisons between the Kenyan Army, Kenyan Armed Forces, and the U.S. Armed Forces recruitment.
And the first thing that we found there was corruption.
Yeah, when you go to the website, if you want your son or your daughter or you yourself want to join, you go to the U.S. Armed Forces website, they tell you that anybody who is corrupt will not be allowed. You cannot buy your way in.
And they say, don't allow yourself to be cheated. That's what they say.
Yeah,
don't allow yourself to be cheated.
But you do know that in some cases, to join some of these forces, whether it's the police force or the army. We've had instances of kitu kidogo.
Yes, we have. Yes, we have. Yes,
we have. Kitu kidogo, nchi ya watu wadogo.
Yes, but nchi ya watu wadogo.
Yeah, but we are not saying that any army or any of the armed forces is perfect. We know that even in the U.S. armed forces, we've had some scandals. Remember, we had some women service women took their men, fellow colleagues, to court because they took pictures of them naked when they were bathing or when they were out and started sharing amongst their websites. So that caused some very serious consequences. Yeah.
As with any occupations, they have their challenges,
hazards,
they
occupational
have their problems,
hazards.
occupational hazards, not condoning them, but saying that, Kenya has a big problem with corruption, so in order to make sure that people know what the real story is, the first thing they lead with, that's how you know it's Kenya.
It's Kenya.
Don't give bribes, don't accept bribes. It is free. It's a free session.
And then we also found it interesting that when you're joining the U.S. armed services, you are expected to have a diploma, high school certificate, or a GED. But in Kenya, you're supposed to get a minimum of a D.
Minimum of a D.
You just need a D in KCSE.
Umejaribu hapo. We have really tried.
So the people who are guarding us, taking care of us, they don't want your A's, B's, and C's. You need a D.
Well, sis, let's clarify for people.
Yes.
So the D plane is the minimum for you to get into to even be any type of officer called under any type of name under the armed forces.
Who said that? And
but
if you have an A, you're cleverer than someone.
It's not saying that. Maybe sometimes you need to walk a little bit further closer to that A.
No, but when you have an A, maybe these people with A, they don't know how to shoot. They don't know how to hit the enemy right here.
See, now you've answered the question, because now those are the people. They're saying that if you have higher grades, then you can qualify to either get into the specialty officers or just go up
training.
Into higher
you can
ranks.
Be a training officer, or you can join higher in the rank.
Yes. Yeah. So in addition to the educational requirements, there's a requirement for medical and physical fitness. They don't really specify what this is, but I know some of you have seen the TV. The news channels capturing people doing a teasy on the field. You need to be able to do that.
I was checking on one of the armed forces websites, and they said that in Kenya you can still join the men of uniform. You can still become a man of uniform even when you do not have all your teeth. I always say 32 because I don't know. I was taught in biology. I think a human being has 32. So. Even if you don't have 32 teeth, maybe let the armed services people confirm with us. Is it true that in Kenya, some websites say that you can still join the army? Even you had a fight somewhere along the way and someone knocked off half your teeth, you can join the army. But in the US, they're very, very, particular. They're very strict. Like if you don't have even one tooth, you really can't join the army. You can. How are you gonna rip the boat? I don't know. Do they eat raw animals there in the war zone?
This US Army is becoming serious. This is a tough serikali. You need to be able to chew nails.
Yeah. So even the US, even if you have dentures, because once you start biting, you start tearing that meat with the dentures, it might just fall off. So and then you'll get sent back home.
Let me ask you. So this US Army, first of all, they cry in all languages.
They cry in all languages. Yoruba, Kiswahili, Kiluhia. How do you cry in Kiluhia? Oh, Mami Wanje. That's chicken. Mami, Mama Wanje. I don't know.
So not only how do you cry in
Kikuyu?
You cry in different languages, and also what is it that you have to do? You need to have all your teeth so you can chew nails and rip boats in half.
Yeah, rip bottoms.
Yeah. So another thing,
if you get a soda, you get a Coca-Cola. Yeah. I don't know. Can you open soda with your teeth? I used to do that when I was small, but now.
Back when I didn't care about my teeth.
I think you're still young, but for me, my teeth are getting old. So if I can use an opener, I'll be okay.
Me, I'm trying to keep my magego. So
so that was just a little bit about the army. Be on the lookout.
Let me add one thing. They specifically mentioned, this was not mentioned in the U.S. Army requirements. Maybe those of you who are serving in the Army, the U.S. Army can shed more light on this. But they specifically mentioned about female recruits in the trying for the Kenyan Armed Forces to not be pregnant at the time of recruitment and training. Yes. Is this the same in the US? Please let us know your experiences. But that's a bit about what the Kenyan military is asking for. As always, there's additional requirements for people who are looking for specific positions, such as the chaplain or the imam.
What we noticed in this army thing is that looks don't count.
Looks don't count.
If by appearance really doesn't matter.
But maybe all American army people are models, maybe now that they are all
model without teeth, but it's fine. You can smile like this, Grace. You can smile like. Anyway, let's go on. How the time is
this military thing is interesting.
It's so funny.
That's a bit of information for you to know about MAVNI. It's been reversed. If you are impacted, please, we would love to hear your story. Maybe there's someone here who's been impacted by it. And information on moving forward with your interest in the military.
And just one tip for those who want to join the General Service Office, or you want to be a cadet, or you want to join the special training programs in the Army. They're going to post this on their website, and it will be all over in August, September, and October of 2018. So be on the lookout.
Okay, cool. So let's talk about, we started that story a long time ago in the beginning, so let's come back to freedoms.
Okay.
So we were talking about, thinking about, we've sat with the previous weeks, we've talked about nostalgia and associations and all this, the good and the bad, the ugly. So let's talk about freedom. What can you do here that you didn't know that you could do, that you can probably never ever do at home? So we have started about that topic. So let's share with you a bit of what we found.
So one freedom we found here in the US is that you can work 24 hours a day. You can keep 3 jobs. You can be a doctor in the day. You can be a cleaner at night. You can be loading things in the supermarket. You can be anything, but you can do 3 jobs in a day. And if you're married and you have a partner, you'll find, or you just have a partner you're living with, you'll find that you guys are just meeting each other, or somebody's going out and someone's coming. It's like hi and bye,
passing
hi and
each
bye.
other like ships in the night. So for better or for worse, the US is a 24-hour economy, and it shows this very much in the way that the types of jobs that are available, and even the types of concessions that they allow for families to be able to do this. Which
you need this in order to pay your bills. In order, if you want to buy a house, you want to buy a car, you have to work. Go the extra mile.
You have to work, go the extra mile.
So that's a freedom.
It's a freedom where you can truly have it all, but then you really have to be careful when you're trying to balance several things in your life. But you have the freedom to do that, and that's the most important thing. You can also do all this work, but also be able to go to school at the same time. There's a lot of things that you can be able to achieve within a 24-hour period. Another thing, when you're talking about the topic of men and women living in the same house but passing each other in the night, the relationships are different here than they are in our diaspora where we come from. One of the things that we really touch on is like relationships are led on benefit. See, maisha ya struggle actually. It's not that you just sit and you struggle. That narrative, it's what are you bringing to the table?
What are you bringing to the table? You can't just come and be someone's taking care of you. Here, everybody's accountable.
Everyone for themselves. You bring your own thing. If something happens where you have to, separate or something, the person lives with theirs, the other person lives with theirs. So there's a different way that relationships are organized in this society.
So in a relationship, you might come with your car. It might be a Honda, and the other person comes with their Mercedes. You come with your dog, it might be a female dog, and the other one comes with their male dog. You can come with a cart, and the other person comes with a turtle. And then when you have to separate, everybody takes their animals, puts in the car
and goes back.
But also don't forget that some relationships really last long. Like we've had people celebrating their 100 years of marriage. But the freedoms are it depends on how you use it. You can either enjoy it, respect it, or abuse it.
So, and we are moving on with the conversation on relationships. And if you come in by yourself, you live by yourself. In our some of us in our collectivist cultures, like African cultures, if you get married, you're getting married with your in-laws. There's a protocol. You have to do this and do that. Tell me what you hear people greeting their in-laws. How do they greet their in-laws?
Oh my God! If I meet my father-in-law, or if you're a man and you meet your mother-in-law, you hug and kiss, and you're like,
Jack.
"Hi Jack,
hi Mary,
hi Mary." You call your in-laws by name.
Yes.
Oh, let's pass by there and have coffee. So it's normal for me to sit with my father-in-law and have coffee and chat and laugh. There's nothing despicable or disrespectful
it's
about
not considered
it.
Disrespectful, especially even if you go to someone's house. Let me tell you a story of going to someone's house. If you want to know that someone really cares about you, they'll tell you the minute you walk in, feel at home, go to the kitchen, open a fridge. Where will you go in our country where you just sit in the sitting room and there's such a different way, the way they feel free,
and your in-laws can come. If my in-laws come to visit, they can come right up to the bedroom. We share the same bed. We can sit on the same bed. We can share the same bathroom. There's no culture. There's no curses. There's no it's not about bewitching people. I know in the traditional setup, my mother-in-law cannot sit on my bed. But here it's a normal thing. It's a freedom. So if you're in America and you go visit your in-laws, feel free. Go to the bedroom. We
do not endorse it, but if it's something that you and your family knows, you mesikilizana hapo, there's no problem. You can do
but
it.
I think I'm shy about that. I still can't do it. Like, I still carry some of my culture and my upbringing with me, because sometimes the way you were raised might restrict you, even though you have the freedoms open. You might not really utilize them. I would like to shake my father-in-law's hand. I wouldn't like to carry him and kiss him and kiss him in the mouth.
We don't go that far.
And call him darling. Hi, darling, dad-in-law.
It's the same with the priest who was inviting us. We had the option to go in, but we decided not to. Those are not things
those are some freedoms that we don't really appreciate.
They're there, but you don't.
We don't want to be cooked. We don't want to be cooked for dinner.
And in addition to the dinner table, we were talking about, when you're sitting at the table, the father of the house gets the leg and the thigh, the children get the chicken leg with the intestines wrapped around it. There's a certain way that people sit at the dinner table. Things are arranged in a certain way. It's all ritualized. But here it's no, grab a meal, go and sit down, enjoy yourself.
Grab and eat. So at home, we have in some of our cultures. Remember that our mothers, when they were growing up, were not even allowed to eat chicken or egg.
Or eggs.
Women were not allowed to eat chicken and egg. We got through that freedom, but some of our grandparents still don't want to eat it. So they have that freedom now. And there's some parts of the chicken, like a lot of people are not allowed to eat the private parts of a chicken. They call it the S, and the liver and the heart, and they're like, oh, that's for Baba Watoto. The mother can't eat that. Sometimes the father has to eat first. Here you can eat any part of the chicken. You can eat the leg, you can eat the thighs, you can eat the breast. You have a freedom to eat. For the first time, if you've not been eating, if you don't know what some parts of a chicken tastes like, you have the freedom right now.
You have the freedom.
Go buy a whole chicken and eat by yourself. And it's normal here to eat a whole chicken. But I'm imagining at home that you cook a whole chicken and eat it by yourself.
You start counting with the pieces of chicken are coming to your plate when you're still cooking.
No. I think, and some husbands name parts of their chicken so that they know what comes to the table. They call the foot onyango, they call the thigh omolo, they call the breast adiambo. So
the chicken is the whole family before it gets to the table.
Family. It's amazing. Some of our cultures are amazing, but we do have to go back into history and find out why we practice these cultures. We can't just abandon them or despise them, because they had when a whole community did something, they had the time might pass now, but they had their own reasons.
Well, let me bring another thing. We have quite a few more to go through, but one example that I want to bring is the idea of eye contact. We take eye contact for granted because in my country, in our country, Kenya, we typically don't do eye contact when you're talking to someone. Actually, a matter of respect. A matter of respect is actually having your face a little bit, your eyes a little
down.
bit
You want to be a nice girl. You want to be a nice woman.
But
so can you show how it's
done? But now I've forgotten. I've become
talk to me.
So I'm talking to you like this. This is the way I'm talking about my story and all this, and you're supposed to look to the side.
So when you look aside, so I can
look at. So yeah, when you're talking to me, so talk to me now. So you talk to me.
Okay, so. When can we go to watch a movie?
Now you're drawing maps on your
maps
legs.
On the floor.
Yeah,
but just to get to the point.
In the US, if you don't maintain eye contact, that's considered a sign of disrespect.
And you're a suspicious person.
Yeah, so
and
you have to train yourself to look straight
to look at people direct. Ngoto your eye. Not glaring, but ngoto. No, ngoto is like rolling. Okay, not ngoto, but have eye contact. have eye contact when you go for a job interview and someone is asking you questions and you're looking down.
Yeah.
You're killing yourself out of that job. And a lot of us here don't get jobs because we're trying to be respectful by being humble, whatever.
Yeah.
In the American culture, it's competitive, it's ambitious. Yeah, while at home, we say you're proud when you say, oh, you're considered proud when you say, I have a PhD, I have a master's. That's why the last time when we were talking, we're like, oh, some Kenyans are coming to show for their PhDs and degrees. But here, you show what you have. Bring it from under the table. Say, I have been here. I was in charge of 30 people. You know, I organized an event that had 1,000 people, and we had a budget of this amount, and I helped the company save this amount. Show what you have. Show your skills. Yeah, don't hide them under the table. Don't wait for somebody to say for you that, oh, so-and-so has a degree. No. Speak for yourself. Speaking for yourself. And that brings us to the other point, Grace. What were we saying about freedom of speech?
We're talking about freedom of speech as there's a lot of heat here. Freedom of speech is something that we take for granted very much in this country, I think, in many ways, because you can speak out. You know, you can speak out against the president. You can speak out against the police and be free. As long as it's not hate speech, that's one of the things. You cannot engage in hate speech, but you can speak freely. And if someone it puts you to task over that, you can sue them. You know, you have the freedom of speech is written into the Constitution.
In the Constitution,
so it's defended by all the armies.
So you can say, you can say the president is foolish. You can say the president has no common sense. You can say you don't like the president; he's not intelligent. And you can get away with it because you're just saying your opinion. But say that in Kenya.
See where that gets you.
See where that gets you. You might
in a lot of countries, they may say you can have freedom of speech, but it's not
say
really free.
Say it. Really call the president names. Yeah. They will be hunting for you. The special branch will be hunting for you. Say something about someone who is corrupt. You will find yourself in very serious trouble. So we appreciate this freedom of speech that is there. Yeah, you can say what's on your mind.
You're also free, in addition to speaking, you're free to wear whatever you want.
Yes.
Whatever you want. Even in New York, you can be topless. In New York, imagine you can be topless and it's legal.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not wearing something that's public indecent according to the state and local regulations, and it's not something that's inciting violence, you can dress up as a mermaid.
Yeah, so
and
I think you can wear something
that's a beautiful dress,
that reaches something. Don't show my what I can't wear anything behind that. Yeah. So we are allowed here. You can wear your skirt. You can wear your pants.
You can even dress.
Nobody's gonna tear your trousers because they're tight.
You know, at the bus stop, no one can.
No, nobody's concerned with cleavage. So that is why
they touch you. If they
tear it, if they tear it, what do you call that committee place?
Wapi?
Jela.
Utakipata.
Utajua haujui.
You can marry whoever you want.
Oh, that's another freedom to choose your partner. Freedom to choose what kind of a relationship you want to be, as long as it is within the Constitution. So you can marry, like if you're 20, you can marry a 90-year-old girl.
If you're poor, you can marry rich.
Or the vice versa. And when you marry, you don't have to marry out of love. You're allowed to marry. You don't have to explain to anybody. So you have a choice to marry who you want. You don't have to marry a Luo or a Kikuyu or a Kisi. You can marry a green, blue, brown, colored people. And it's nobody's business.
It's nobody's business.
And when you have a wedding, wait to be invited.
You
have a freedom to invite 20 people, 30 people. And if they don't have a card, if they don't have an invite card, you'll tell what do you call the bouncer. The bouncer.
Yes.
Even if it's your own family.
Protocols
I want to see your back.
Yes. So Grace, you were telling me about laundry and freedom.
So there's freedoms here because at home we wash. Apart from rich families, you really take a lot of time washing, twisting, whatever. Your nails get cut off. You can't even maintain your nails because you're busy washing clothes, washing dishes. But here, there's the laundry freedom. You just dump your clothes in the washer. And then when it's washed, you dump it in the dryer, and you go ahead with your own business. If
you don't have a washing machine, there's a lot of shopping. What are they called? Laundromats.
Yes.
So you take your clothes there. You can either sit with them, or even you can pay them to wash it.
And a good pack of clothes is about $25. And that's how much?
Like if you're washing like 3 lines or 4 lines worth of clothes, that's around the same price, 25.
25.
So yeah. I think it, depending on where you are, sometimes that's freedom. For you not to be sitting there watching the thing for 8 hours. Another thing that's a freedom is food. We know that cooking is like a 7-hour process.
You don't have to cook.
Yeah, and no one frowns upon you.
You can call, you can ring, you can call the restaurant from your bed and ask them to deliver food, hot and well served. You can pick food on your way from the market. Although a lot of Americans do cook. I love soul food, and a lot of people carry their food to work. But there are people who would rather order. That's an easy way for you, especially single people rarely cook. But a lot of married people also just order pizza.
Yeah. And this is something that's accepted. There are certain families where they don't. The kitchen is just for decoration, and that's just part of their lifestyle. So it's not something that's frowned upon that you can't cook. Oh, a girl can't cook, a man can't cook. It's something where there are so many options.
A lot of women don't cook. They have their money, they can buy food, and it's not a big deal. So that's
another thing that we wanted to talk about was visitors. I know sometimes we have our visitors from home who come to your house at 8:00 in the morning when you're just opening your mouth and putting the kuni, the 3 stones and the sticks together. They're coming there to help you drink your tea. There's a certain understanding that you don't come to somebody's house at least without checking in and giving them a notification.
At least call and see, even if it's your sister, brother, mother, father. Give a date.
Give an appointment.
Time. Because again, you don't have to clean your house. A lot of times here, people don't clean their houses in the Diaspora.
There's no dust. At least, lami.
You can clean your house after a week or unless the people who like cleaning every day. But it really isn't that time. If you're doing 3 jobs if you're doing 3 jobs in 24 hours, when are you going to clean? So you can clean in a week. You can clean after 2 weeks. You can leave your bed undone. You can leave your dirty clothes all over. Nobody will worry because nobody's even going to visit you. Nobody is going to visit you unless
you have told them to come.
You can't just show up. You can't. You don't have that freedom. You can't just show up. But you have a freedom to ask, like, how can I help you? I mean, something wrong?
Yeah. So we're not saying with these freedoms you're talking about, these are options.
You don't have to follow them.
You don't have to follow them.
They say that when you're in Rome, do as the Romans do. But I don't think you always have to do as Romans do.
But to be you open your eyes and
you
understand that these are, the world operates differently here and you get to participate in it. And so that's was some of the freedoms that
I did visit a Kenyan when I was first new here without an appointment. I brought the neighborliness at home, and I had to wait outside their door for about 3 hours. They were still sleeping, so I was very angry, and I didn't talk to them. I arrived by 9 in the morning on a Saturday. I was like, today is Saturday. I'm free. So and so must be home. So I just sat outside the stairs. I woke up with zest. I brought Africa to America. I sat at the door and waited. I sang all the songs I know. By the time I finished singing and yawning, Nasikia sauti, sauti ya mama, sauti ya mama. Sasa ni saa tatu.
Grace ameingia.
Chamkalala. Anyway,
but that's fun.
And then we just wanted to finish by talking about discipline.
Yes, discipline. So bring us into the topic, my friend, because you had something to start us with. School and discipline.
School and discipline.
I hear Kenyan parents are clobbering their
Kenyan parents. So we got a feedback from last week, and some of our viewers asked us to talk about discipline here. And one of the teachers said that parents in Kenya are really beating their kids, tuning their ears. Some parents are really good at tuning ears. And bruising, quaruzering.
That's abuse.
So so the children are going to school with covered in sweaters and whatever, but during PE, a child is a child, they forget and throw away their clothes. They see all these marks and bruises. So, but that cannot happen here.
No, it cannot happen.
We have something called a child mandatory.
So there's a mandatory reporting on child abuse. Child abuse is taken very, very, very seriously. And something that has happened a lot, and I think a lot of African parents have been caught under this net, is that you one of the major ways that we are taught to discipline our children is through physical beatings. So you give your child this discipline and you go to the school, the child goes to school, and later you hear a call, you're being called in and you're being reported to Child Protective Services because of suspicion of child abuse. And this is the thing that will happen. Yes.
And you can you can report a parent anywhere. It doesn't have to be a parent, as long as you're in a public place. And a parent treats a child in a certain way that makes you suspicious that they're being abused. If you report that parent, the child can be taken away from them and given to foster care. They'll just take the child away from you.
So let's be, I want to provide a little bit more information. So the thing that it's important to understand that we have freedoms here, but it's still the United States of America, and the United States America rules apply. The way we are raised in a culture where the teachers beat children and all that, but in the US, discipline is conceived of very differently. So when you're going in and you're looking at ways to discipline your child, please be careful and be mindful of the ways that you do that, because this child has access to, when the child goes into any type of public facility, be it a school, a library, a health center, even if they're going on a field trip, even if they're walking down the street, they're in a shop, all these people around you are either mandated reporters, they are required by law. There are people who are required by law. If you're working in the healthcare setting, if you're working in a school setting, even a librarian, you are mandated by law to do it. And anyone else who is around that field, or anyone else who can see this action taking place, or even seeing a mark on the child, can call Child Protective Services and report it.
Even your neighbor can call 911.
Yes. So it is up to this particular agency to determine whether this was a case of child abuse. So now you are in the position where, you may have coming in with the intentions of trying to teach your child, and sometimes they say that some children can call falsely, some children can be malicious, can falsely accuse you, but the children have the right, they have access to telephones.
Especially they do love to call for stepfathers and stepmothers. Their parents are not there and they're not comfortable with someone else.
Understand that when a report is made, they have a duty to investigate. So it's important that you be aware of the rules, and if you get a call, that you know what's happening. It's up to the agency to determine whether this is a real case of child abuse, and then they will go accordingly, which can go to extreme measures such as taking the child out of your home. So it's something that affects a lot of African families, actually.
And Grace, again, it's not just physical abuse, it's verbal abuse, insulting a child, telling your child your head is as huge as a watermelon, or saying your legs are as ugly as your father's. It's going to take you very, very far. You're really going to regret telling your child stuff like that. You're ugly and all that.
And so maybe it may be a topic for another day, or maybe you can give us some feedback on how you conceive of discipline in the US, knowing the types of restrictions that are here versus what, the way you discipline your children here will be very different from how you're doing it at home. But you have to be aware of the laws as they are applicable, because you don't want to be getting a bad situation. Because you may even find yourself getting denaturalized.
Yes.
So
and you can be deported, and remember, especially if you have a child who's a citizen of this country, you can get deported and your child will stay here, remain here, and remain as an American citizen here under foster care. So that's very interesting.
So thank you for the question on school and discipline. Remember that anyone can report an instance of child abuse, and if they don't need an explanation, we are Africans, we do this, or we are not from this country, we do this. They are protecting a child who is under U.S. territory. And
then a lot of families, again, here do not have children, or decide not to have children and adopt dogs instead. One of the freedoms is that you have to take these dogs for a walk. American dogs have to be taken for a walk. It is a freedom. You can take in a dog into your home, but these dogs are also American citizens. These dogs, if you mistreat your dog and you don't take your dog for a walk 2 times a day, because these dogs have to exercise, you have to give them a comfortable bed. These dogs stay in the house.
You can actually, there are cops who will come to your house if you report, animal cruelty.
If your dog is jumping near the window and barking, when strangers are passing by, the dogs are barking. They're barking in English, I'm suffering, goo, goo, goo. So the cat is meowing funnily through the window. Anyway, so these dogs, and again, when you have your dog, you're supposed to carry something to clean up their mess, their poop.
If you don't pick up the dog's poop, is a $350 fine, I think.
$350. That's how much $35,000 Kenyan. If you let your dog poop
In
on the
public.
street in public and you don't clean it up.
Mm-hmm.
So take your dog for a walk, clean up the poop, take the dog window shopping, but do what is needful.
Do what is needful.
And on that note, Grace,
we have a few events to share with you happening this week. Yes, we have the Swahili community in the DMV area is doing a community day that is going to be at the National Museum of African Art. That's at the symposium. And the event is going to be August 18th from 4 p.m. to 10 p.m. Community Day, Waswahili, hujambo.
Hujambo, waambaje. Tumewakaribisha DMV. Mje mule biriani,
pilau, chapati, mahamri. Ukipata mabuyu pia pitisha hapa.
Pitisheni mabuyu.
But I think it's going to be a fun. Please we look forward to seeing the photos. We're excited.
Yes.
And also the Dear Awards. They are coming Saturday, September 1st, 2018 at the Marriott Hotel. What state is it happening in? Is it Texas or where?
It's Texas. So people in Texas support the Dear Awards. I said it was a Kenyan event, but it is the Diaspora event. This is the Hollywood of Diaspora. It's the who is who in what field.
Yes.
You know, the winners are going to be there. There's going to be great entertainment. Please support fellow Diasporas who are organizing this event.
To get more information about the Dear Awards, you can go to their Facebook page. We have also shared the flyer for the Dear Awards on Tujipange. Yes, Tujipange KE. And I think, my friend, it's time that we continue drinking our tea.
Our tea.
Yes.
Thank you for staying with us. But vile mmeona leo kumechacha. Sema kutachacha. Kumechacha.
Have a blessed Saturday.
Bye.